Alright, so this is our final phase of training. We'll be spending the next 4 days flying out of a place called Allison Ranch in central Idaho. So here we get to practice a lot of the techniques that we've been working on for the last couple of weeks near Nampa. And of course, we're flying low level in terrain because there's lots of clouds and weather that keep us down. So as we come across some of these areas, we talk about things like ridge crossings and how to fly in terrain and always have an out. So here we are descending down and doing our approach into Allison Ranch. And we'll talk a little bit more about this in some of the video on the strip, but what a gorgeous day to fly in the backcountry. One of the things we talk about as we evaluate this airstrip is what is our abort point, both for landing and for takeoff. So we always think about those numbers before we fly. It gives us a very objective criteria to know if our airplane's performing as we think it should, as well as making sure that we have adequate runway length before we take off and before we are committed to land. So in places like this, as you can see the mountain across the way there, we don't get the opportunity to have a straight in final that gives us a good look at the runway before we land. So we circle overhead and then go down the canyon and fly up the canyon with some key positions noted on our strip charts that help us know that we're in the right place even though we can't see the runway. What a gorgeous place to base from for the next few days. So really excited to see what Tim has in store for us in training.
And at the end of this turn, I'm going to slow to 70. And we want to make sure we're high enough to cross the ridge. So here I am 70. This is like base leg here. And we're beginning to descend. And I'm slowing to 65. And we'll go full flaps here. And crossing between the tall pine trees here, we're going to go power idle.
Alright, so here we are coming into Yellow Pine Bar. This was one of my favorites. It's one of the steepest approaches. The trees have grown up over the years, and it's put us right at the edge of our threshold of a 5-degree glide slope for final. So you really have to be on speed and on altitude at every point of this one, which really is true of everyone, but this one felt a little bit more challenging, and I really enjoyed the view coming to the final here.
And I'm committed to land, 55. Speed 64, and close the throttle, float through the gully here, touch down at the bottom of the gully. Check the brakes, and we roll up the strip here. So, as we come out here, you'll see that this tree sticking out here at 3,000. You see the rock ledge there and the tree sticking out? Okay? See it down the slope there?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go flaps full as I turn. Notice it's wiping across the threshold.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to fly right past that tree, slowing to 60 knots here. Flaps are visually checked. Checklist is complete, and I'm about 500 feet a minute and stable. Okay. The rock is this rock right here.
Yeah.
And you see the tree standing on the rock there? Here's 500 feet a minute, 60, coming right past the tree. A little bit close maybe. And I've got to come over to the right to get on center line. There's two tall trees just underneath me. A little bit close there. And I'll get over here on the center line. And I'm stable, 60 knots. And getting on center line. Vertical speed 500, 66 knots. Checklist is complete. So coming to the right just a little bit. Spot speed. Spot speed. I'm aiming for just a little bit before that tan line. Okay. And I can still go and committed to land. Spot speed, spot speed, spot speed, spot speed, okay now. And 1 uniform for 33, copy. Go ahead.
This was Tuesday. I thought it'd just be a neat perspective to show you what it looked like, both outside and inside the aircraft on a rainy day. So we tried to take off in the morning and do a little bit of wet runway work, and rain kind of moved in a little quicker, so we ended up going back to Allison Ranch. But as you can see outside the aircraft, the visibility was fine where we were flying. But when you've got rain shooting up the windshield, looking for an unburned dead tree that marks our turn to final into Allison Ranch, that's difficult enough to find in a clear day, even more so in the rain. So Tim did a great job demonstrating how to get into Allison Ranch. This was not my approach, but what a great opportunity to see some real-world decision making. I hope you enjoyed the trip. This was some of the most beautiful flying I've ever done. Of course, most of the time my palms were sweaty and the workload and stress level were about as high as I could handle, but we had just awesome instructors that were making sure every part of the trip was safe and taught us so much.